learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So I was just informed that I can't live in a tiny house. But before I get into the what's and the whys of all that, let me explain some history and what's going on here. So as you may know, we are building a tiny house on an existing mobile home trailer frame. It used to go all the way back to there, but we cut it to where the end of that tarp is right there. And so we're building our tiny house right here. It's 12 by 16 feet. And then we're gonna have a porch here. And that's where Carolyn's gonna cook and do her cooking at. Once again, I've tried to talk her out of having to cook out on the porch, but she insists that she wants to cook out on the porch, even in the winter. And yes, it's gonna have a roof on top of it. So these are the plans that we've done. Now, the biggest factor of the tiny house, in my opinion, is being able to build it the way we want to build it. Spend money on the things that we really feel are important, and then don't spend as much money on things that we don't feel is as important. So for example, I'm spending a fortune on insulation. And right here you'll see that I'm using 2x6s. This is a wall. Once it stands up, it'll be the wall. And I'm using 2x6s for the wall. Normally you use 2x4s, but I'm using 2x6s so I can have thick walls, so I can have thick insulation. I'm going to do the same thing with the ceiling. But then on the other hand, I'm not spending a lot of money on the floor. I got insulation under the floor, but I'm only using 2x4s to reduce cost. Now, a lot of people disagree with using 2x4s, but when you're building on a steel frame, you don't need a lot of extra support. So I got steel frame and a beam, and I'm asked all the time, Rob, how do you reduce utilities? What can I do to reduce utilities? Because we live off grid, we don't have a lot of utilities. I got 1,000 watts of solar panel, and I can't use any more than that. It's gotta last us. The easiest answer is, well, stop using utilities. And the way to stop using utilities is minimize your space. So as you know, I've been cutting firewood all summer. I got 4 cords down here where you see that tarp at. I probably have 2 to maybe 3 cords, and I'm still working on a tree down at the city park. I got 3 trees up here. That's one of my biggest primary goals, is to get lots of firewood. Now, my goal is to only use 1 cord a year, and I'm really researching how to do that. Even if I can't accomplish that this year we're staying in our camper. We have an outdoor wood furnace. But the more I think about what I want to do once we get the tiny house built, the more I realize I want to get a really efficient wood stove. We're going to put it inside. I was thinking about putting an outdoor wood furnace for the tiny house too, for safety reasons, but these newer wood stoves are just really safe, really efficient, don't burn much wood. So I keep thinking that, okay, well, yeah, we're going to put the wood stove inside the house now. Now, another utility that a lot of people have is air conditioning. Air conditioning is very inefficient in my opinion. I mean, I haven't done the studies on it, but it seems like it's easier to heat a house than it is to cool a house. I don't know how true that is, but it's just very difficult for me to even cool the little camper that we live in. And it's well insulated, but heating it, all I need is a little flame on my propane stove. That's what we've done for the last 3 years when we were nomads, and it heats it really well. Well, then you have whole house air conditioners. People are trying to cool their entire house. And so that you're just using tons of electricity with an air conditioner. To make matters worse is they'll buy a real small air conditioner and try to air condition a huge room, and it just runs nonstop. So again, minimize the amount of space that you need to air condition. If you're just wanting to cool off, you know, maybe put it in your bedroom at night or in the living room during the day. You don't have to be cool all the time. As a matter of fact, Carolyn and I only run the air conditioner from about, maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon until about 6 o'clock when it was really hot. We ran it on the generator. And so for our air conditioning, we only spend about, well, I don't know, $30, maybe $40 a month on our air conditioning. Now think about this. A lot of people will spend hundreds of dollars a month on air conditioning, and we're at $30 or $40. And the thing is the way we run it is so inefficient. We run it off a generator. Now we have run it on solar panels. We run it from about 2 to 4 on solar panels. But even at that, even if let's say we doubled the cost, you know, we're up to $80 for air conditioning. Again, so many people spend hundreds of dollars on air conditioning. So by minimizing your space, you don't have as much to cool. Same thing with heat. By minimizing your space, you don't have as much to heat. Now, I think people lose sight of money. And so when you're really just spending money, like, oh, I'm spending money, I can't seem to ever pay my bills. But think about this. If you translate that into firewood, and you know, my goodness, I've worked so hard on this firewood. So all I ever do is I'm cutting firewood and splitting firewood and stacking firewood. Then it becomes a labor of love, and you begin to notice how much you're using. You know, if I take a log or 2 or 3 or 10, like, wow, what can I do to reduce the amount of logs I have to use? Because that just means next time I have to go out and cut more wood. Again, minimizing space is the key factor to reducing your utilities. But once you begin to minimize, you realize that there's a cost savings on everything you do now. You don't go out and buy a bunch of junk and try to store it into a big house that you have, because you don't have a big house to store. You really watch the things that you have to purchase. You know, like a refrigerator, for example. Carolyn and I use a little apartment-size refrigerator. You know, when it comes up to about my stomach, that's how big it is. It's not very big. It's got a real freezer, but again, not a lot of space in it. Well, I've seen refrigerators where they just kind of throw the stuff in. Got this huge refrigerator, and they're just not organized. You got leftover food in there. Well, when you have a little freezer like that, you really start to plan out your meals where there is no leftovers. You eat everything you cook. There's no waste. The biggest waste we have is the little bones in our pork, and we feed it to the cat. We got a little feral cat around here. So now the refrigerator is using less electricity. And since it's always jam-packed full of food, it doesn't run as much. The whole freezer doesn't run as much. So these are the things that really you need to conceptualize when you're trying to reduce your costs, or even get on solar panels. That's the biggest thing for us is, you know, we're on solar panels. So we have to reduce the amount of electricity we use. But I was told that there's just no way you can live in that small of a house. One of the commenters said, you just can't do it. Well, right now we live in a 7 foot by 7 foot box. And we've been doing that for 3 years. So to tell me I can't do it, that just doesn't seem logical since I'm already doing it. So I was told you got to have a travel trailer or some sort of mobile home. And I don't understand that. Travel trailers are made so poorly. Now, I'm not criticizing mobile homes. They make them light and portable, and so you can tow them behind your truck, and they're great for vacationing. But they're not great to live in. You know, when you can, let's say, in the wintertime, you want to go to Arizona where it's warm, well, yeah, you don't have to heat it. Or if you can go to Canada or Alaska when it's hot, well, yeah, see, then you don't have to air condition it. So it's made for portability. So it's light, doesn't have a lot of structure to it. Use 2x2s and Luan, so it's light. You want light. But if you're in a fixed location where the climate is like ours here in Missouri, you know, it's really hot in the summer, really cold in the winter, then you have to start thinking about how to minimize your costs because you're not going to be moving around. And minimizing space is just, in my opinion, the way to go. You know, Carolyn and I are debt-free, and we're going to stay debt-free. We're minimizing how much this place is going to cost. It's only going to cost us less than $5,000. So for those that say you can't live in a tiny house, I mean, I wholeheartedly disagree, and I'm quite comfortable living in a tiny house. I never have a worry anymore. It's perfect. I hope I can inspire you to minimize your life so you can reduce the amount of stress you have. Thanks for watching.